Hey guys, it's Anthony Bandiero here, attorney for Blue to Gold Law Enforcement Training, bringing you another Roadside Chat. This is a very important question. It comes from an officer in Illinois, okay? And I've heard this issue come up before, and I want to make my statement, my position on here pretty clear. What's going on here is that some departments in Illinois are towing a person's vehicle simply because it was involved in a crime, okay? Whatever that crime is, okay? Maybe failed to yield, or they were shoplifting, they got stopped. Now, they're not towing the car for any kind of community caretaking reason. They're simply, quite frankly, it comes off as trying to maybe punish the person for being involved in a crime. They don't have any community caretaking reason. Let's just say, for example, okay, that the vehicle is a shoplifting vehicle, suspect, we stopped them. They ended up getting arrested, but by the time they stopped, they pulled into their parking spot at an apartment complex. And I guess some agencies would tow that vehicle because, again, it was used in a crime. Do I believe that is problematic? And the answer is absolutely. Absolutely, I feel it's problematic. And here's why. Number one is the reason we tow cars, the reason we take a person's vehicle is usually for community caretaking, okay? There's a governmental interest in taking their car and protecting it in an impound lot. What is the governmental interest here? Why are we taking their car? Now look, the reality is, this is just a basic question, okay? The reality is that a lot of officers are going to have a legitimate reason for doing it because it's in a high crime area, the car's not secured. The person may want their car towed and not there, right? It may be blocking traffic. It may be on private property and they have a small parking lot, not like a Walmart, that might be a little more problematic, but it's a small parking lot like a convenience store, and that one spot is taken up by this person. The vehicle could be, by the gas pumps. We have no legal obligation to move their car to a lawful parking spot. We're not a parking service, we're not valet. So that's fine. But if you give me a situation where the officer cannot put his finger on anything that actually is rooted in some kind of community caretaking function, then the next thing is, why are we doing it? Why is the government, whether it's Illinois, the federal government, Texas, whatever, why would the government take somebody's property for no reason? For no reason. And that comes into probably a due process issue. In other words, due process, when the government takes property from somebody without due process, without some kind of, again, government interest, but it's a different kind of community caretaking falls under the Fourth Amendment, due process under the 14th. But the reason I'm trying is, like, we go to the U.S. Supreme Court and we say, Your Honors, may it please the court, we want your blessing to tow a person's car simply because they were arrested from that vehicle. Do you think the justices would say, absolutely, go for it, keep up the good work? No, they would not, okay? They would say, well, look, what is the governmental interest? When a seizure of property under the Fourth Amendment, on the Constitution, is when you meaningfully interfere with a person's possessory interest. Well, certainly taking their car and putting it into the impound lot is a meaningful interference of the possessory interest. And again, where is the why? Quite frankly, a lot of cops do it because they kind of want to, kind of punish them, quite frankly. It's just another way to punish a person for, acting up, right, for committing crimes. The problem is that is not your job, right? You have nothing to do with punishment. You have to do with enforcement. If the courts want to take their car, fine, right? If you're trying to take that car for forfeiture, something else, right? You want to take that car for community caretaking, fine. But just to take the car for no other reason that it was used in a crime is unlawful in my view. And again, I bet you there's a lot of courts that will kind of uphold it at the lower level. I'm looking to win at the U.S. Supreme Court, and I just don't see how we win. That's my opinion on it. I've felt this way for a long time. I quite frankly wish it would stop, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm just here to give you my point of view on this issue. Just a cursory kind of overview about what I think the issues are. If this has helped you, I appreciate it. Put something in the comments below, hit like. If you need anything from us, Search and Seizure training on demand, in person and so forth, go to bluetogold.com. And with that, my friends, stay safe.